to you, Libras. So a lot of you Libras have the Devil, the Seven of Cups, and the Nine of Cups. A lot of you Libras feel like you're like this. You've been caged, and you're not caged anymore. You've been locked in some sort of chamber, right, that a lot of people tend to have you in. The Seven of Cups and the Nine of Cups represents, and some people mistakenly think that you are their toy, and they can say and do whatever it is that they want to do to you, objectifying you, and you have no choice but to be their toy, right? And they usually wait until you're in a relationship with them, or until you are attached to them, in some shape, form, or fashion. And because of this, you feel like you're just done, you're tired of people playing with you, and that you want some sort of liberation or freedom from the wheel, right? The merry-go-round, the constant being just a spoke or a little spike on the wheel that's turning, the actual gear that's turning around. You want some sort of liberation from that. You want people to stop playing with you. You want people that you care about to stop wasting your time. And the Two of Swords represents, but a lot of you Libras may have felt like your fight to be able to get out of being seen as a toy, right, has been a very difficult one. And to be honest with you Libras, all it is that you really need to do is to really stop playing the game that a lot of people have set for you in the first place. And what I mean by that is, when people be playing games, they know that that's what it is that they're doing. So you have to understand that they know that that's what it is that they be doing. So you Libras have to look at it like that. When people betray you, they are consciously aware that they are doing it. But the problem is that when they need some help, then they want to bring their sorry behinds back over to you, trying to make it seem like the two of you never had any kind of friction, right? There was no kind of smoke between the two of you, or conflict between the two of you at all. So guess what it is that you have to do, Libra? You have to essentially get yourself off of this wheel that keeps going around, this cycle that you're in of having to interact with people that don't really appreciate you, and unfortunately look at you like you are a toy. And the best way for you to be able to free your own self, because people are not going to come to get you. There's nobody that can ultimately liberate you. Liberation is called liberation for a reason. It's something that you must essentially rise up and do yourself. So if you want to be liberated from having people playing games with you, number one, this is why I say that it's so important. Number one, you have to learn to detach. Stop hanging out with so many friends. Stop hanging out with so many loved ones so much, and be a little bit more of an individual sometimes, and sit back and really reflect on how you feel, what's going on in your life. Because also too, what creates this, the Two of Swords, conflict, is, and i.e. the merry-go-round, is not ever giving, some of you Libras don't ever give yourself a break to actually sit back and be like, okay, I'm really gonna relax and deal with just being by myself. So the constant need, the constant interaction with other people is part of what gets you upset. It drives you crazy, because of course you'll never be able to get off of the merry-go-round, or feeling like no matter how much it is that you give to another person, it goes misunderstood. It's because of the fact that part of it is because of the fact that you're constantly interacting with another person, and or looking for some new form of stimulation through conversation or interaction. And the Two of Wands represents you are the smoking volcano that a lot of people unfortunately stand back and let erupt, or is ready to erupt. So what's driving you crazy is the idea that you Libras, right? You don't know how to be by yourselves when it's necessary. A lot of you Libras probably don't meditate. A lot of you Libras, when you're single, a lot of you Libras probably don't remain single for some time. See, there is a reason to be single. Now in the modern day, people will have you sitting up here thinking that, especially in the modern day, that being single means that you're a loser. That's not necessarily really the case. Because even rich people are essentially, right, that you've probably never heard of, are essentially choosing to be single in this time because they just see relationships ultimately for what it is nowadays, unfortunately. Sometimes it can work, but sometimes a lot of relationships are nothing but a mere distraction. And this is why it is that there is a time and a place to be single. The idea that when you're single, you actually get a chance to be selfish, do what it is that you want. And this ideology that, oh, well, you have to give something back to society and something to somebody else, share your resources, and have somebody be all up in your business and all up in your grill, in your pockets, just to be able to give back to society is whack. But we're single way more than we're in a relationship. Most of us, anyway. So now the Empress, right, is about you Libras, right, of course. But it's about you having to make that distinction for yourself. It's better to be single for a little bit, at least, than to constantly be with somebody. And that is driving you crazy. Because you end up being with so many people to the point where you lose slight touch of your own identity. Who are you if you're constantly interacting with another person? Constantly interacting with another person. Constantly. There's a constant, like I said, stimulation, right, for somebody else. And that feeling that there's somebody else out there. YOLO, you only live once. There's somebody else out there. And if you're not dating and moving forward with dating, then somehow you're stagnated. When that's not necessarily really always the case. It's just that sometimes we need a little bit of a break from doing the same monotonous thing so that we can have time to miss it, to understand what it is that we are missing and understand the value in why it is that we do what it is that we do. So in other words, you're letting a lot of people get to you because of the fact that a lot of you Libras may have lost touch with the reality of why you date in the first place. It's for you to get to know another person and the two of you to actually grow and build as a team. But then you have the Knight of Wands and the Ten of Pentacles. Truth be told, some of you Libras may have been treating too many people too well, in the sense that, you saw when you were dating recently, right? Or I should say within the year from 2020, I want to say 2022, all the way up to this point, you've seen a lot of the betrayal that comes with talking to some people. But then you went back with you went back out there. Some of you may have went back out there with the same individuals in particular, or you may have decided to move forward and get to know brand new people, and then essentially fell to the same tricks, the same antics that people was trying to get you on. Now the Knight of Wands and the Ten of Pentacles is about, since that's the case, a lot of you need to understand that because of this, you Libras are learning from your mistakes. And it says that you have to learn from your mistake. You have to learn from your mistakes. And part of the mistakes that you are doing is you coming in potentially with too much money. You move in too fast when it comes to the money situation. The way that most modern people date now is not the way that you particularly date. You're still dating on some, medieval knight type stuff where a person needs to have money for these dates. With all of these people out here trying to run game on others so much, and people who have a parasitic mentality, that being the majority of the mindset, you have to be able to understand that whole gifts and cash and prizes and stuff like this, all of that stuff is essentially out. You can't have that. So you Libras have to understand that. And the temperance and the Five of Swords represent, because the more you still try to move on the same axis, the same plan that you had, is the more you're going to run right into the same problem of this. You're moving too fast. You hooking people up with too many gifts, cash, and prizes, and that's part of their problem. Some of these people may not even really be looking for a real relationship because they're dysfunctional. They're broken. And now you Libras are coming along and you're essentially trying to, be generous. People will unfortunately try to take advantage of your over generosity. Make your generosity become a detriment, or something that is self-grandizing but detrimental to you. So let's clarify the Five of Swords. High Priestess, Ace of Pentacles, Hanged Man, and then you have the Eight of Swords. Right, exactly. The Eight of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles is about the High Priestess, right? The High Priestess and the Ace of Pentacles. I said Eight of Pentacles. Sorry about that. The High Priestess is about people's hidden intentions. It represents the High Priestess is ruled by the moon, right? So obviously the moon is exalted in the nighttime, right? You see it most in the nighttime. Now, obviously you see it in the day, but it's not as exaggerated as it is obviously in the nighttime to contrast the darkness. So what am I trying to say? The High Priestess represents the moon energy. So that's the same type of energy as people's intentions. They're hiding it and trying to make it seem like they're possibly, maybe, potentially, fingers crossed, going to be in a relationship with you, when the vast majority of the time, that's really a lie. That's really a misconception. If they're not straight out telling you that it's a lie, then it's really an assumption that they want you to make, so that they, unfortunately, like I said, they can try to take advantage of you. And to back that up, the Ace of Pentacles, they only really want to use you for your finances or your attention or whatever else it is that they can get out of you. And look at how it's positioned. The High Priestess represents people trying to hide their intention and play games. And the Ace of Pentacles represents they only want something material from you. But that's behind the High Priestess, meaning their intentions versus the illusion that they're trying to project onto you. They're trying to project onto you that they care about you, when in actuality, they really don't. So now the Hanged Man and the Eight of Swords is about, this is why patience is so important. This is why you need to be very patient. Your fuse has to be very long. And unfortunately, sometimes a lot of you Libras may not necessarily have a long a fuse as you may think or as you may like. And this is just a warning as to why you need to start developing your patience. The more patience you have, the better you are. No one said anything about tolerance. It's different. To be patient with something or someone or an idea means for you to be able to actually, your capacity to not get frustrated immediately when you have adversity. or something doesn't necessarily go your way. Your ability to remain calm up underneath pressure, that ain't got anything to do with being a punk. As a matter of fact, I want to have so much patience. I have patience, but I want to have even more. Because when you have patience, people don't understand where you're going, where you're coming from, right? But when you're overly tolerant, that's when people will try to play you. So the hangman represents, this is why you need patience. And the Eight of Swords represent, and one of the ways, and another thing that you Libras are supposed to be practicing is also by paying attention to them. Understand that not everybody wants the same thing that you may want. And that is something that a lot of you Libras may be having a difficult time understanding. So let's clarify the High Priestess and get out of here. What in the world? The Judgment, the Empress, Eight of Pentacles, the King of Cups. So yet again, this is exactly what it is that I'm talking about. The Judgment and the Empress, right? To clarify these two cards, or to tell you what it means, I should say. The Judgment and the Empress. Empress is Libra, again, right? So the Empress showed up twice, okay? So this is a huge warning for you. This is about, and some people will try to, this is where wisdom needs to happen. And this is why you need to be very wary of the antics that the games that people will play, because they'll try to use reverse psychology by trying to use humiliation. They'll say things like, you Libras are not good enough for them. That's why it is that you can't do that. Cat, this is why you need to stay away from them. Because if you start falling into the reverse psychology, that's just another game for you to start doing something for them, because it's like, oh, you can't do something, and then you start doing something for them, and it's like, oh, well, I'm benefiting from it, and then they just keep their mouth shut. As to where the Eight of Pentacles and the King of Cups is all about, you need wisdom in the sense that no matter what kind of games they play, take a second and don't try to respond, but take a minute and let something be what it is, even if they're trying to insult you. Take that second and let it be what it is for a minute. Regardless of whatever they say, what they do, don't get upset. Even if you do get upset, because you're not a robot, even though sometimes you may want to think of yourselves as one, you're not a robot. Take 5 minutes. If you can, take 5 minutes. If you're in front of the person, take a few seconds. Don't say anything. Don't do anything. Just let it marinate. Just let it sit there. Because the Eight of Pentacles and the King of Cups represents, and reason why is because you will begin to see the games that people play, how stupid it is. And now you will realize that all of this is to try to get you entangled and, or i.e. confused as to your own value. People want you to do your own thing for them, in the sense that as long as you're coming in benefiting them, they'll be okay with you for the time being. They'll just sit back and allow you to do whatever. But they will dislike you, and be very unappreciative of who you are, where you're from, and what you've got going on. Just unappreciative and ungrateful of your whole existence, while at the same time they sit back and they just take the benefits of all your own hard work. But see, this is what the Eight of Pentacles and the King of Cups warns against, and it also is an idea for you Libras to become better with the games, to understand it. It's because of the fact that it's about you, and it's about trying to get you Libras to feel less valuable than what you actually are. And this is why you should never fall prey to any of that stuff. Because you'll have individuals that'll get you to think that you're trash about your own self, even though that's not even necessarily true. So that's just something that a lot of you Libras may want to marinate on. You know, you have a lot of people out here that will get you caught up. They can't. The problem that they're having is when you do this, the Eight of Pentacles, when you Libras start realizing, wait a minute, this is about me and my own development. Now that's a problem. That's not something that people can checkmate or figure out where you're going from here. So that's pretty much it. Comment on the video, like the video, subscribe.